Pressing on the upward way, new heights I'm gaining every day. Still praying as I onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. My heart has no desire to stay where doubts arise and fears dismay. Though some may dwell where days abound, my prayer, my aim is higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to scale the utmost height and catch a gleam of glory bright, but still I'll pray till heaven I found. Lord, lead me on to higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground.
Thank you, media team. Like I said, we'll be taking a topic. We'll be taking a topic titled Need to Know Truths, Spotting Safety and Structural Red Flags in Properties. And our brother Daniel Dini, will be taking us on the topic. But before he comes on, I would like to read his biography. Daniel Dini Adedeji is a civil engineering graduate, BEng from Adeleke University, with 5 years of professional experience in the construction industry over the course of his career. He has worked alongside seasoned professionals to deliver several notable projects across Lagos, Nigeria. He began his career with Planet Projects Limited, contributing to landmark works such as the Lagos Bus Reforms project under Governor Akinwumi Adbode. His involvement included the construction of laybys and bus stops along Obafemi Awolowo Way and Kudirat Abiola Way, as well as the Koshoko Road Reforms project and the foundation works for the Ojodu Bega bus terminal. Daniel later joined Coop Property Development Company Limited, where he played a key role in projects such as the Autograph 1, supervising finishes for 32 units of semi-detached triplexes and overseeing foundational works for an 8th-floor mid-rise structure. He currently serves as a site manager at Blue Square Limited, where for over 2 years he has been instrumental in the successful execution of mid-rise developments, including Cove Towers, 7 floors, 7 Central, 8 floors, and Gazanian Park, 10 floors, still under construction. Beyond engineering, Daniel is a certified virtual assistant with professional experience in customer relations through his work with Linked Yard, a growing startup. He is recognized for his commitment, versatility, and ability to adapt his skills to diverse fields. Personally, I know Daniel. Daniel is a lover of good music, a talented singer, and also a diehard fan of Man United Football Club. He has a twin sister, and he also has a junior brother who are also twins. And Daniel is a very interesting person, and I believe we will enjoy his presentation today. Without wasting much of our time, Brother, can you just take us on to this thing? Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. Can hear you.
Good evening.
Am I being heard?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All
We
right.
can hear you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, bro. Korideshifura. Although the way you ended it, that was very surprising, but I really appreciate it. I want to welcome every one of us to another beautiful evening. It's another session for our leadership series. And I first of all want to appreciate the organizers of the leadership series for this opportunity they've given me to speak on this topic. Need to know truth, spotting safety and structural red flags in properties. I believe that aside knowing um living in buildings and knowing about say legal aspect of you know buildings and investing in properties, we it's also important that we know the technical aspect of properties as well, the structural aspect, the things that are to you have to look out for. I remember in on the 1st of July, a legal practitioner spoke to us about the structural and legal framework of properties and all of that. And I remember a question was asked by, or a contribution was made by Elder Olayinka about how it is important that we also, get to know the technical aspect of properties, of investing in properties, the things to look out for, the structural aspect that we should, pay attention to in either maybe when we want to rent, when we want to invest in properties. And that is the reason for this topic. And I'm hoping that we would um I'm hoping that we would get the chance to dig into this topic and gain something important from it by God's grace. Amen. Just want to confirm that you can see my screen. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So, like I said, the topic for today, need to know truth, spotting safety and structural red flags in properties. Spotting safety and structural red flags in properties. Just like I said, on the 1st of July, we had the legal practitioner speak to us on the topic real estate investment structure and legal consideration. That was in person of Sister Anu Odenaike. And she did a very good job in giving us an understanding of what that topic was and all the legal considerations that backs up real estate investments and all of that. And I remember this question was thrown out, or a suggestion was thrown to the organizers of the leadership series, that it's important that we also, aside knowing the legal aspect, let us also get to know the technical aspect, the structural aspect of real estate investment, of structures, of properties, to help people key into the right investment, or to help people in their property decisions. And that's the reason for this topic. Beyond beauty and paperwork, safety, structure, and compliance are important things to also consider in properties. A wise investor looks beyond just the surface. You look beyond just the external facade. You look beyond just aesthetics. What is it that makes a building function? What is it that makes a building structurally, safe and sound? That is what an investor, or a concerned person, or someone that has safety as at the back of their mind, puts into consideration. um Key statistics and record. Why does this topic matter? Why are we discussing this? It's recorded that over 640 buildings have collapsed in Nigeria from 1974 to 2025. 1,600 lives have been lost or recorded in this incident. I say recorded because there might be more, but have not been recorded. But 1,600 lives have been lost in this record, in this collapse incident. Lagos accounts for 55% of this collapse. This is a local issue, and we all know if I leave everyone, we could all think about reason why Lagos has the highest percentage on this collapse in Nigeria, because Lagos actually is the one state in Nigeria that has the fast growing real estate. In 2024, Nigeria saw 47 collapse across 14 states. This problem is recent and it's still ongoing. There are more than 56,000 abandoned projects nationwide, and this creates dilapidation and risk. What are the main causes of this report? Substandard materials, unapproved design, and lack of certified professionals, and poor enforcement. And these are exactly the things that we will be looking at today, the gaps that we will be talking about today, the reasons that cause this collapse, the reasons that makes building that have been constructed not to become as functional as expected. These are the things that we'll be looking at today. What is the truth about building? Structural integrity and functionality and functional design are often considered the most important factors for a building. Aside structural integrity and functional design, any other factor that is considered for a building is always secondary. First, two things to consider: structural integrity and functional design, as it ensures safe and durable, and serves the intent purpose of effectiveness. Aesthetics, while important, is secondary, just like I have said. Paint and tiles can hide deeper problem. Cosmetic beauty is not equals to safety. Wisdom plus diligence equals to protection of life and investment. Right. Here we see the stages of a construction, that goes on, like let's say in Nigeria. And there are 7 stages here. Some people, if you check on the internet, there are some people that will break this down to more than 7. Some people might even limit it. It might be less than 7, but this is typically how a construction process should run or should go. The first stage is the design stage. This includes the design phase, is the phase where ideas are being transferred from the client to the architect, which then brings the client ideas to life, and then pushes the design to the structural engineer. The structural engineer does its part, pushes it to the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer. They do their part, and the design phase basically. And also, this phase also could also involve getting bids, right? During this phase as well, we are trying to determine who would our builder be, who would our contractor be, who would be the main contractor, who are those that would help to handle this aspect of the project, who are those that will help to handle this aspect of the project. Then there is the pre-construction phase. The pre-construction phase is basically mobilization to site, setting up the site hoarding, setting out, establishing functional structures around the site and all of that. Then there is the procurement phase, which is, of all these 7, is the aside the design phase is first one of the most important phase. Procurement phase is also a very important part of this phase, because it's during this procurement phase that we determine the type of material that we are going to use, the vendor that will be delivering this material. And this part is very important because the materials that are gotten, you need to get vendors that will deliver the right standard of material to your project. Because if your materials are bad, it in turn affects the building, right? Your construction would fail if materials are poor, right? Construction and the building phase is also another very, very important aspect of this phase, right? Then there's the commissioning, owner's occupancy, and commissioning of the project. So like I said, the design phase, the procurement phase, and the construction of the building, these 3 phases determine if your project would be structurally sound and functional. These are like the three main phases of a construction project that will determine if that building would serve its purpose. So professionals that are involved in a building construction, and these professionals are these are the people that should be involved in any building construction, right? It is the standard, it is how it has always been done. Anybody or any client that tries to go against this standard, that is your number one red flag. When you begin to see projects where maybe they don't have an architect, they don't have a mechanical engineer, they don't have an electrical engineer, that is already a red flag. So first, like I said, the architect is usually the first contact between from the client to the engineer. The client, that is, the client is the person that wants to develop, or the developer, right? Is the person that wants to build, right? The first person he comes in contact with is the architect. He shares his idea. All right, sir, I want to build say a 5-floor condominium, right? And this is how I want it to look. I want it to look this way. I want it to look sophisticated like this. I want to have swimming pools. I want to have this. I want to have that. I want to have this and that. The architect is usually the one that receives clients' requirements and implements them into drawings. After the architect, the structural engineer comes in, right? Takes this design that the architect has already done and then design the structural aspect of the building, like the columns, the beams, the slabs, and the foundation. The structural engineer is one of the most important professionals in a building project. He is the one that establishes the skeletal work or the skeletal framework of a building, right? He's the one that determines if this building would even stand. The structural engineer has the capacity to tell the architect that this vision that you are having, it's not possible. It's not structurally possible. There is no way I can, structurally bring these ideas to life, right? Or this is how I plan to structurally bring these ideas to life. That's how important the structural engineer is. Usually on a project, there is no decision or no sign of, especially when it comes to the building, that would happen without the involvement of the structural engineer, because the structural, like I said, a building that is not structurally sound already fails, no matter how beautiful the building is, no matter how sophisticated the building is. That's to tell you the importance of the structural engineer. So I just want to confirm that you can still hear me and we are still following. This, can someone just unmute and just let me know?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
All right, thank you so much. Right. After the structural engineer, we have the MEP engineers. The MEP engineer is the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer. Mechanical engineer, they design and oversee the mechanical system, the HVAC, plumbing, and fire system. I'm sure some people might not, when they hear mechanical engineer, the first thing that comes to your mind is, okay, vehicles, aeroplanes, aeronautic engineers, and all of that. But mechanical engineers are actually actively part of a building project. The mechanical engineer is the one that designs the HVAC system. HVAC system is heat, ventilation, and air condition system of a project, right? Also designs the plumbing system of the project. The plumbing aspect of a project is dealt with by the mechanical engineer. The fire safety and other security systems is also handled by the mechanical engineer. Electrical engineer, just as the name implies, handles the design, implementation, test, and maintaining a building's electrical system. Now, after all these people have carried out their own drawings, usually a proper project would have an architectural drawing, a structural drawing, a mechanical drawing, and an electrical drawing. These 4 drawings are what would now then be used to implement by the builder. We'll still get to the builder. After carrying out all their drawings, these 4 people, the quantity surveyor job is now to give a detailed total cost of this project with all the information that have been given, the total cost of the project from the beginning to the end. We call it BOQ, the bill of quantity. A project that does not have a BOQ, that's already a red flag, right? So these are the questions that you have to ask when you want to invest in a property. The bill of quantity: does this project have a bill of quantity? What is the total cost, overrunning cost for the construction? For what is the entire cost of this project? right? Now, a builder, which is the second most important person or professional in this list. A builder is now the person that takes all this drawing, architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, and puts it into implementation. A builder, which is the main contractor, the civil engineer, is the one that now ensures that the building functions, the building is implemented exactly how it has been designed to. The builder is actually very important. He's the one that coordinates the construction, what's it called, manages the project, ensures that this contractor works well with this contractor, ensures that everything functions as they are expected to. Every design that I mentioned up here, every design and activity must ensure functionality, safety, and compliance with codes and regulations. There are regulations and there are codes that guide construction in Nigeria. The national code, right? Nigeria has a national code that guides construction in Nigeria, and every design must fall and align with this code. No registered professionals equals red flag, just like I have said. Now, let us just briefly look at some red flags that you are obvious or that you would naturally pay attention to, or you should naturally pay attention to in a structure. Say the structure is already, ready. First, foundation and structure. Cracks, uneven settlements. Usually, cracks in buildings already is a red flag. When you see cracks on a wall, you should be concerned. You should begin to ask questions: why is this crack here? Why is this? Why is that? How old is this building, and why do we have a crack in this particular place? Not to scare us too much, because I know that in Nigeria there are several buildings that we see a lot of cracks on them. Some of these cracks are not all structural defects. They are not caused by maybe structural defect, or maybe something is failing in the structure. That is why you are seeing these cracks. It's not all of them. There are some cracks that are caused due to poor plastering of the wall. Maybe when it was time for plastering, it was realized that the block work was not set properly, and because of this, maybe the plastering is now thicker than it's supposed to be. When you plaster a wall that is, say, beyond the normal standard of plastering thickness, without carrying out the necessary precautions, a wall thickness that you are plastering that is beyond the normal thickness, you have to add wire mesh. You have to do it in stages. You cannot just do it all at once. If you don't follow these precautions, if you don't follow these steps, your your walls would have crack at the end of the day when they dry up. Also, the joints between a column or your beam and your block work, there is a way to that they are supposed to be treated. If you don't follow these precautions, if you don't tarpaulin before laying your blocks on your columns, after you plaster that surface, when you come back the next day, there will be a crack on that part. So these are just some type of cracks that are not particularly structural implications, right? But then there are also some that are structural implications, like differential settlements. When there is an unsettling in a structure, cracks would definitely occur. Now, if there is a crack due to unsettling or differential settlement, uneven settling, that's a very huge concern, especially when the building is still maybe has not even gotten to half of its lifespan. A well-constructed building should last 50 to 100 years, but a building that has not even gotten up to 10 years, and you're beginning to see cracks due to uneven settlement, right? That's a concern. Differential settlements are normal in buildings, right? I want to give you an analogy. Imagine if a vehicle has a tire problem and it is being jacked up by a jack, and say you are not able to replace the tire of that building, of that vehicle immediately. Say you have to leave it for the next day. The jack that you used to lift that vehicle up, especially if this you put that jack say on if surface that is not a concrete surface, say it's a sandy surface, the level at which you put that jack, when you come back the next day, the jack would not remain at that same level. There will be some level of settlement that must have occurred to that Ja. That's basically what settlement means. Buildings are constructed on soil, on sand. And the essence of a building standing is building that building on a layer of the soil that has a very high bearing capacity. So regardless of the fact that the bearing capacity of the soil might be high, there is tendency for settlement to still happen. It might not be, obvious to the eyes. Maybe you will have to use like a leveling instrument to actually confirm, okay, this building has actually settled by, say, 10 mm by 20 mm since it has been constructed. It's usually not a lot. It's usually, but buildings settle. It is normal. But if structural frameworks are not put into place, differential settlement happens, and that means differential settlement is maybe the side of a building is settling before the other side, or is settling faster than the other side. And when that happens, crack will definitely occur. Expansion of reinforcement as well is another cause for crack. I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened, but this second point here, the picture seems to have, covered up what I was trying to show you here. But the second point there says roofing and ceiling, leak stains, water marks, sagging, and poor drainage. This is another red flag that is usually, noticeable. You move in, get into a space, and the POP, you can clearly see that the POP has stains. That is water, right? What are the causes of leakage from the top? Poor roofing, obviously. Poor waterproofing. Like I said, construction is a process, and if you take out a process out of this process, there are repercussions for these things. There are standards to, carrying out construction, and if you don't follow these standards, you would pay for it in the long run. After you carry out your roofing, or you say your roof deck or your roof gutter, you are expected to waterproof. You are expected to cope the top of your block work at the top. These are steps that are taken to ensure that water does not seep in to your roof, or through your roof slab or your roof beam. You are expected to engage a proper contractor to do your roofing, so that you don't come back and start doing maintenance work for a poor work that has already been done. So these are the things that cause leakage from the top, usually when works are not done well. You will spend money in the long run. Walls finishing, dampness, bulging, and poor plastering. Like I said, I've already spoken about the effect of poor plastering. But yeah, dampness as well. This is another thing that is seen in a lot of Nigerian homes. Even medically, it has been proven that damp walls usually affects our health. It causes degradation in our health, right? And there are some of our homes that we see that have damp walls. What could be the cause of damp wall? Like I said, water from the top can cause damp wall. Water from the side can cause damp wall. Water from the side, it could either be, maybe the earth is resting on that building at the back, and that is what is making that wall damp. It could be that there is a pipe that runs through that wall, and that pipe was not fixed properly during the construction phase, and it is seeping out water. The water would keep soaking it, and it will cause dampness on the wall. It is easy to attend to a wall that is receiving water from the top and receiving water from the side. It is easy to solve that problem. But there is a third one, water from the bottom. If water is coming from the bottom of a building and is causing dampness of the wall, it's better you either leave that building, or just move. There's almost no solution that you can carry out again at that point, because at the foundation level of every structure, you are expected to apply something called DPM, damp-proof membrane. It's a sheet that is being put before the ground floor casting, the German floor casting, to prevent underground water from seeping up, because that is how naturally the earth has been made. Water from the earth would always want to seep up, especially through construction walls, right? But if a construction is done without a DPM, water would come from the ground. And how do you now fix DPM to a building that has already gone up? It's not possible. So it's either you keep managing the situation. Like I said, shortcuts are not always the way to go. When you miss out a process, you would pay for it in the long run, right? We also have plumbing and drainage. Poor slope and blocked drainage leakage can be a very tough one, right? Maybe the usually plumbing in buildings are usually done with the help of gravity, the force of gravity. You will see overhead tanks. We put our tanks overhead so that we don't have to spend money on pressurized pump. We slope drainage from our soil because we don't want to spend money on pumping, using money to buy pump again that would help us do all of that. God has already, gravity is free. Like how I watched a video that someone said gravity is free. Gravity is free, so why shouldn't I, work with gravity to slope? But when your pipes are not sloped properly, the right way or following the normal standard, there would always be a problem. There would always be a problem, and it would cost you in the long run. Long run, ventilation, natural lighting brings in comfort, health, and energy efficiency. These are also some red flags. You go into some spaces and you would only see maybe one tiny window and there is no cross ventilation. That's a concern. That's a red flag for you to look into, and it's a sign that you shouldn't key into a project. These are just some list of red flags. We'll still see some other things as we go into this topic. Like I said, the structural engineer and the builder, these are the two most important professionals in a construction, that part of the construction team, the structural engineer and the builder. Why is the structural engineer important? I had already established that the structural engineer ensures that the project safety and stability through designs and analysis, analyzing principles of mathematics, physics to create stability, lasting structures to meet codes and regulation, right? The structural engineer is the one that would tell you that, okay, also before the structural engineer does his own part, there are also usually soil investigation that is done on the site where the building is coming into. It is through this soil investigation that the structural engineer will now work, okay, this is the type of soil in this particular area. Say you are building on the island, right? The island, the top layers of the soil in the island cannot support an high rise or a mid-rise structure, right? That means I have to go all the way down to take my support from lower levels of the soil. We'll see some other pictures of foundation, right? So that means I have to use a pile foundation when I'm building a mid-rise or a high-rise on Lagos Island, right? But on the mainland, right? The mainland, especially say sites like Maryland, Yaba, these places, or Bega, these places have very good soil, especially the top part of the soil. I don't have to go all the way down. If I'm building a mid-rise, I can easily use, say, a wrap foundation and just go to a suitable part of the soil, right? And use a wrap foundation and support my building, even if it's 5 floors, if it's 6 floors, if it's 7 floors. It's the structural engineer that will determine this after the soil investigation has been carried out, right? After the structural engineer now does all of this, does his drawing, he gives you use this principle, use this grade of concrete, use this reinforcement. The builder is now the ones that now follow what the structural engineer has done to ensure that the building is functional, like I have explained. So these two personnel are very, 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 very important. They are the ones that determine if this building will stand, especially when it's relating to collapse, preventing of collapse or structural failure. These two personnel are very, very important, right? Like I said, these are some examples of basic foundations, right? Foundation choices that the structural engineer will choose, right? I'd already explained the purpose of building, right, is supporting your structure with the soil. I mean, it is the soil that would carry the structure at the end of the day. But based on the load that I am putting on this soil, right, there might be the part of the soil that has low bearing capacity, low bearing density, right? That means I have to go deeper because this foundation cannot go deeper. I have to choose this other foundation. Because this foundation cannot work here, I have to choose this other foundation, right? I have been opportune to witness all the basic 4 types of foundation, and actually most of the time all these foundations are also used together, right? You can almost not use a pad foundation on its own without involving a strip or a raft at the end of the day. You cannot just use a pile on its own without, capping it and then using a raft or a ground beam or a strip at the end of the day. So it is the structural engineer that determines this, right? It's the structural engineer that determines this. Also, the I've already spoken about soil investigation. It is important that soil investigation is done, and because it is this information from the soil investigation that the structural engineer would then use to carry out his design, right? Um, there was a topic that was trending on Twitter some weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, where it came to limelight that there was a structural engineer that was designing a mid-rise structure. I think just like 3 to 4 floors in Anthony, a couple of triplexes in Anthony on the mainland, and it chose to use piles as deep as 15 meters deep for this what's it called, these buildings. And people came online and was blasting him, like, why exactly are you choosing to use piles for a structure that is just say 3 suspended floors in Anthony here on the mainland? Everyone knows that the mainland has like good soil bearing capacities. Why are you using power, right? And he came and was defending online. This is why I chose that the soil was bad and all of that. And people found it hard to believe because buildings around there, or people that have carried out projects on the mainland, they know that it's not necessary that you use a pile in this area. That is why it is important for you to engage the right professionals for your job, the right professionals for your construction. It's not just people that just want to spend your money, or they just want to just flex their knowledge. Using the right people to carry out projects is very, very important, right? There is also a project that I know that is going on at Yaba, right? It's an 8th floor structure, and they are using raft foundation. They don't have to use pile. At Yaba, and the structural engineer had all his designs and all of that, and he confirmed that it can happen, and the government approved it. So using the right professional is very important. They can help you save or help you lose, right? It's a two-way thing. Like I said, the another thing that the structural engineer determines is also the type of concrete that would be used for that project. We have several type of concrete, right? We have M5 to M80, C5 to C80, and these are grades of concrete basically, and they determine the type of concrete that we would use. Like we can see on the types here on this table, we have some that are weak, we have some that are non-structural, we have some that are moderate, we have some that are the standard 1.5, 3, and then high strength, and we see their use cases, right? One, the mixed ratio, the information you see there, 1 means bag of cement. The one in the middle, the figure in the middle, that's the 5, means sand, right? And the last number there, 10,864, is granite, right? So this mixed ratio is what helps us determine the type of concrete that is to be used, right? And it is the structural engineer that enforces, okay, for your column, use grade 30 of concrete, right? Now, where some contractors try to place mass, some of them they want to manage, some of them they feel like, why am I using grade 30 for this? And then they try to go against the standard, right? And then they now start using, say, grade 20, where they are supposed to use grade 30. Why? Maybe because they want to manage cement, maybe because they want to steal money. These are the things that affect our structures in the long run. There is no shortcut to construction. Like I said, there is no shortcut to construction. If you do shortcut, if you cut corners, in the long run, the repercussion would come. That is construction for you. Also, the builder also has the opportunity to also advise or to also flag things to the structural engineer or the team in general, because the builder is the person that is on site. The builder is the one that is seeing what is going on, right? The builder has the opportunity to call the structural engineer. Okay, engineer, based on your drawing this, and this and that. When implementing this on site, I believe that, I feel that this, your reinforcement detail or this detail that you're giving us would not work here. We need to maybe increase it. We need to add another column. We need to add another beam. That is the importance of a good builder. He sees what other people would not see. You have to look ahead and, foresight some things. I have a perfect example of this. Look at this road. I took this picture this morning after the heavy downpour on my way to work. The first red arrow that you can see here, you could see that the flood from the road doesn't seem to be entering this person's compound. You see where this water stop. But the second arrow at the back there, the flood from the road has already gotten into this person's driveway. And this is these two examples are effect of a good builder. Your road level, your compound level decision from your road level is also something that is included in your drawing, right? By the architect, right? But a good builder, when you get to site and you see that the specification that has been put in the drawing by the architect, that you should use a particular level from your road level, doesn't seem to function. If rain falls, if there is a heavy downpour, water would come into my compound. A good builder would see this beforehand and would flag it to the architect or would flag it to the structural engineer, like, we need to increase our compound level, we need to increase our ground floor level so as to prevent water from getting into our compound. That is what a good builder would do, right? Moving on, there are government standards and regulations that also keep construction in Lagos in check, right? Number one is LASBCA, right? I know many of us would have seen buildings that have been marked, marked removed, marked distressed, marked sealed by either LASBCA or LSMTL, right? LASBCA is Lagos State Building Control Agency. Lagos State Building Control Agency basically ensures that building in Lagos are safe, healthy, habitable, and regulating construction and design to meet minimum standard, gives approval, supervises, and sign off on building stages. LASBCA plays a very important role in Lagos State building, right? There is no building anything in Lagos without carrying LASBCA along. There is no way you can do that, because first of all, LASBCA is the one that will give you approval to commence your project. After giving you an approval to commence your project, every stage of your work, every stage of your project, your slab, your column, your slab, your column, you must invite LASBCA and carry them along with every stage. They are the ones that would give you sign off, right, before you can commence anything. Buildings or constructions that would go on without involving LASBCA, that's a red flag, right? I mean, there's nothing that screams red flag more than seeing a project that already has X right in front of it. There's nothing that screams red flag more than that. That's just, don't go there. Or if you would go there, at least understand why the X mark has been put on that building, because these government agencies would naturally not put X mark on a building that don't deserve the X mark, right? So it is either the project has gone against a standard, right, or they've not done what they are supposed to do, or the building is already failing. Then they will mark it as distressed and they will come and demolish the building. It is LASBCA that does this, right? And the good thing about LASBCA now, right, especially recently, there's been a change in the aim of affairs of LASBCA. There is now a LASBCA compliance form, right, that these professionals that I pointed out here, all these professionals must sign before any phase of any stage of your construction must go on, right? So your consultant architect, I say consultant because it must be a consultant registered architect, consultant structural engineer, consultant mechanical engineer, consultant electrical engineer, must sign off, right, this form before you carry out that phase of your project. That is to say, every stage for every stage, the consultant must come and must give sign off. This was put into place because in recent collapse building in Lagos, it was noticed that after buildings collapse, professionals or engineers or consultants that had been engaged have the tendency to deny or to say that, okay, they were not part of this stage. I wasn't carried along when this lab was being done. I wasn't carried along when this decision was being made, right? So this compliance form is what, shows that you signed off that the fifth floor slab should be cast. You signed off that the seventh floor column should be cast for every stage, right? And it keeps everybody in check because you don't want your name tainted, because you don't want your certificate, your seal to be withdrawn from you. You have to come to site as a consultant, check that the right thing is being done, which is a very good step from the Lagos State government. Another agency is the Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory. Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory ensures that construction safety and quality in Lagos by testing and certifying building materials like concrete, reinforcement, water, is being done to standard to prevent collapse. Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory ensures that your concrete is being tested. Just as how LabSCA gives you sign off for every stage, Material Testing Laboratory also expects that you bring sample of your concrete at every stage to their laboratory for testing to confirm that your concrete is to the right standard, or the reinforcement you are using is to the right standard, your water is to the right standard, and there are results to this thing. Before, in Lagos State, you can carry out your material testing from anywhere, but with the new laws as well, your material testing must be carried out with only Lagos State government. Only Lagos State government from their laboratory. They've even done it in a way that when your project is starting, you come with your approved drawing, then they give you a summed bill for your material test. It is this bill, after making this payment, that you bring every time for your testing. This helps people keep in check. It helps contractors do the right thing, because you cannot no longer go to, say, just any laboratory to test your concrete, and where you can just formulate your results and all of that. You must do it with Lagos State government, and at the end of your project, you must have all your results compiled, right? There was even recently, I think last month, the Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory, their office here on the island, was marked as a distressed structure by Lagos State Building Service Control Agency. It was a shocker to me. We went there to, collect some of our test results for our project. And we saw that LabSCA had come to the building where Lagos State Material Testing Lab was using for their test, and they marked it as distress. And right now, the building has been demolished. Now, the branch office here at Island had to move to Bega. Now we're having to go all the way to their head office in Bega for our material testing. That is how serious these people are with these things. Okay, right. Another government agency is Lagos State Physical Planning Authorities. These ones also are the ones that ensure that your structure or your building aligns with the physical planning of Lagos State, right? They are also very, 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 very important. Also, there is the Federal Fire Service approval. You must get this permit before you start any work, any construction in Lagos State now. You must get this permit and you must get this certificate before you start anything. If not, they would come and they will keep disturbing you, right? Now let's look at this structure. If you look at this structure, the first thing you are seeing, wow, very beautiful, put together, structure. Wow, 3 floors of beautiful structure and all of that. And you'll be thinking, okay, yeah, blocks and bricks, but no, this structure is not block and brick. It's not concrete. It's not concrete at all. It's a container structure. This is a perfect example of what facade cosmetics, like I said in the first slide, can do. When you see this, you would think, okay, this is a beautiful looking, concrete looking structure, but it's actually a container structure. This is a construction that has been going on behind site since we started our project here. And since this project has started, this container structure has started, there has not been any of these agencies that I just mentioned now, lab scan, material test, physical planning, that has not come to either seal up their site or put a stop work order or put a red mark in front of their gates. Right? That shows you what happens when you don't follow the right, when you don't follow the right laid down principles, right? If you look at this first picture, the construction going on right behind the building right there, that's actually the project that we are working on. I'm working on currently. That project is on the 8th floor. And before we even left the foundation, this container had already been standing, right? But till today, this project, if you look at the gate here, it says last part sealed, right? There is a seal, there is a stop work order that has been put on this project for months now. That is what happens when you don't follow principles. It delays work, right? It delays work, it causes what's it called, delay in the long run, extended on money that you didn't plan to spend. That's what happens when you don't follow the lay down principle. Also, some months ago on the streets where I lived, buildings that have already been occupied for more than 3 years, LabSCA came and marked these buildings as sealed, put caution tape on these buildings, like just on my street, 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings were marked as sealed, right? This was probably the effect of maybe a contractor not doing the right thing, not carrying the government along, or sticking to the right principle, following the right code, when they were constructing. And this is what happens when we engage people that we are not supposed to engage on our project, or we move into places that we are not supposed to move into without doing due diligence. Before you move into anywhere, before you rent a space, ask the right questions. Did this building follow the right code or standard? Was this building built in line with the Lagos state government policy? Ask the right question, ask these questions, because without asking them, there is problem that is coming later in the future. This blue container that you are seeing here is actually on my project where I'm working on, and it's supposed to be our site office. And we set up this container, a couple of months back, and we were thinking, okay, yeah, it's a temporary structure. When the contractor came that wanted to put this container together, he asked us, do you want to do a roof for this? But we felt, why are we doing a proper roof? That's a proper roof above this container. We felt we didn't need to, because it was a temporary structure now. We don't have to. Where these containers were coming from, they didn't particularly roof it. So we just did what we wanted to do, and we continued. We started using the container. Then the rainy season came. Oh my God. The rainy season has really showed us a lot with this our office, right? Because we did not carry out the right thing from the beginning. We did not do what was right. We tried to, take dodge corners. We felt like it was not necessary for us to, do a proper roofing above this container, because we felt it was a temporary structure. Every time rain falls, water finds its way. We don't even, at this point, we don't even know where the water is coming from. We've done everything. We've spent money. We've sealed. We've done whatever we want to do. But yes, this water keeps coming in. We don't know where it's coming from, because the right thing was not done from the beginning. You will pay for it in the long run, right? Ignorance/negligence in construction leads to defective work, structural failure, safety hazard, financial losses, project delays, and legal liability for all involved parties, even loss of life. Unapproved construction leads to what? Building collapse, delayed delivery, just like the example I gave you there. Proper professionals plus approval leads to safe, lasting investments, right? Quick investor checklist when you move into a building, or you want to, invest in a property, or you want to even rent, right? What are the things you should look out for? Look up roofing, the ceiling. Are you seeing watermarks? Is there anything that says, okay, this place was recently renovated? But did they renovate it because I am coming, or did they renovate it because something had already spoiled what was there before? Look down the floor, the drainage. A friend of mine moved into an apartment in Yaba, and she invited me to come and check my house. And I went there, and the way one thing that really annoyed me the most was the drainage system, as in the way they drain, especially the kitchen sink. It's a two-floor structure, but all the kitchens drain to, just the pipe just comes down and then drains to the compound. It was very, very ugly and disgusting. That is to say, if anybody is washing anything from their kitchen sink, maybe they are washing food, particles and everything comes through that pipe, it would come and just run into the compound. These are the things we should look out for. This thing, it will become ugly in the long run. It will make the compound smell, and there are repercussions from all this, failure to do the right thing. Look around. Whoa, the ventilation. Are you seeing dampness? Are you seeing bulge? Are you seeing cracks? What is the reason for these cracks? Don't be fooled by painting. Don't be fooled by aesthetics. Don't be fooled by, this building is white, it has POP, and all these things. Ask for government agency approval, right? Where is your what's it called, commission approval from LabSCA or material test? Where is your fire safety certificate? Where is this, where is that? Important to ask the right question. Confirm registered professionals are being carried along in the project, right? And then when unsure, you call an expert to also check for you. In conclusion, true wisdom equals to diligence, knowledge, and faith. Excelling God's way means avoiding shortcuts. A wise investor builds on safe, sound structure, which would in turn mean protecting lives, wealth, and peace of mind. Right. That brings us to the end. I am hoping that we have learned something from this presentation, and that going forward, in maybe when we want to invest in real estate, we ask the right questions, we do the right things. Don't just key into something because everybody is doing it. Why is it that this thing is this particular way? Ask questions, right? These buildings are where we spend most of our lives. So why should you move into a building or a structure without doing your due diligence, right? Seeing the numbers that we saw at the beginning, the first slide, about collapse in Nigeria. I pray that we would never be a victim of failed construction in Jesus' name. Thank you all so much for your time, and thank you for
God
listening.
bless you.
Right.
Thank you, Brother Daniel, for that presentation. I pray God continue to encourage you and promote you in your profession in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I don't know if you have questions for Brother Daniel, so you can take the question.
Hi, Cody. You sound a bit distant, though.
Can you hear me?
Slightly.
Very.
Sister Uloma's hand is
Hello,
raised.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but your voice seems low.
Yeah. So can I go ahead? Good
Yeah.
evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this session. I got a lot of information from this. I used to see all those marks, red marks, I just wonder what it's all about, but thank you so much for the explanation. My question is this: you talked about this Lagos, getting a rented apartment is difficult. You now see one and you start asking them for their LAPSCA document, and material something, and then all those other things. They probably will not consider you as a serious tenant that wants to come and rent apartment. So I don't know how can just okay, but you have told us just by looking around the information we can get quickly from a building. a building, but then if we have so many the number of collapses, building collapses that hear about in Lagos, I wouldn't say it's too much, but it's uncomfortable. It's not something it's quite uncomfortable. One wonders how people really go through all these protocols to in building a house. So my question in summary is this: from your experience, people that build residential houses, do they actually go through all these protocols in Lagos, or these government organizations, were they recently constituted? Because there have been a lot of houses that have been built over time. I'm just hearing about this, all these. If you want to move from one state to the other, you have to go to LAPSCA and maybe materials people. Is this a recent thing, or has it been there all this while?
All right. This is a very, very, very good question. Right. Like I said, I've been doing construction in Lagos for over 5 years. LAPSCA and Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory, they've been in place since I have been doing this. But every year, right, they've gotten better. The way LAPSCA and material test has functioned in 2019, right, when I had my first construction experience, functioned then compared to now, completely different. As in, there has been complete turnaround, especially with the new what's it called, people that are in affairs now. These people don't take nonsense, especially for the Lagos State material test. The Lagos State, let me just crack it. The Lagos State material test, the person that was there before, it was a particular man, and he was recently taken out of seat by Governor Sanwo-Olu due to some, bad things that came out on limelight because of that. And now the new person that they put in place now, she's a woman, and I know we all know how women always feel the need to want to make a mark, especially when they come into a sector that is like, say, male dominated. So she has really set up a lot of principles that are really reformed and transformed the way things are being run or things are being done, right? For some people, it is very uncomfortable, especially for contractors that always want to cut corners, that always feel like they can use money to pay their way, right? That is why I showed you pictures of some houses on the streets where I live that had been built 3 years ago, but LAPSCA have now gone now and sealed these houses, right, expecting that they are supposed to come back and do the right thing. They sealed these houses, right? That is to say, something that should have been done years ago was not done right now, but now the new system now has now sent them out to still do the right thing that they are supposed to do. I know it's usually difficult, like you already established, that renting houses in Lagos, especially with the increase in prices of houses, people are always so quick to just go for the one that is cheap. Let me just go for it and just pay and just find somewhere to shelter. But in the long run, especially when you fail to do this due diligence, it might not be due diligence to the extent of maybe requesting for did they submit all their documents to LAPSCA, do they have sign up from a material testing laboratory and all of that. But seeing a project right from you are already coming into a project, you can already see that little things like from the compound level, the difference from the compound level to the road level, you're already seeing that it's not significant enough to stop water from coming into my compound. You're already seeing the walls, you are seeing marks, you are seeing cracks, you are seeing things like this. You should begin to am I sure this person did the right thing, right? So honest to God, some years back, LAPSCA material tests, they were actually even very dubious people. They are like, these people, once you can just send them money, they would not even bother coming to your project. Once you can just send them money, they will just approve and give you sign off and all of that. But as new government, new system are being put into place to curb these things. And like I said, I can particularly speak on Lagos State because I have experienced the development in Lagos State. I don't know if this is also being done in other states in Nigeria, right? But the way Lagos State has really improved in doing these checks and all of that is very impressive. And contractors keying into this, or even clients, developers keying into this, is very, very important. It's not always comfortable, but it is very, very important. So yeah. All right, I also see bra Ebenezer's hand went up. Let's have you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. And yeah, a big shout out from the Leadership Series team. Well, I appreciate you because I know, truth be told, out of all the speakers we've had this year, you are the only person who has volunteered so far. So I really appreciate you and thank you for the outputs. My question is something you slightly spoke about in points answering Dr. Loma's question. So you said something about road level and compound level. So rumor has it that if your compound is higher than the federal road, I mean, the level of the federal road is never going to get flooded. Is this something that we need to put into consideration when we're renting a new place or maybe when moving to a new area? Do we now need, I don't know if it's a true thing. I don't know whether it's industry standard or it's actually just rumor. So please fact check me. But
All
do we
right.
need to focus on the road level when we're taking into consideration a property that we want to rent or buy or move into?
So it's not even like, if you even think about it as like a layman, you don't even have to be technical enough to realize that your compound level should be higher than your road, than the established road level, right? Because if rain falls, if there is water on the road, water would always drain to the lowest part of the lowland. Is just basic water movement. Water would move from like a hill and go to it will flow down, basic gravity. So there's nothing that would hold the water on the road. If your compound is lower than the road, it will drain into your compound, it will find its way there. So naturally your compound level should be at least higher than your road level. The project we are currently working on, our compound level, or say our ground floor level, is 1.2 meters higher than our road level, and the distance from this ground floor, or the our ground floor to our road, is just say 12 meters. It's not a lot, but we have raised it up because we know where we are. We're actually close to the Lagos Lagoon, and anything can happen at any time. You need to ensure that water is not coming back into your compound regardless of the flood on the road. Now, should you consider this moving into a rented apartment? Yes, because at the long, you are the one living there. Like I showed you that picture that I showed of two projects. One, compound level was raised, so water is not coming in. The second one that wasn't raised, that's actually the compound where I live, right? Coming out of my house this morning, I had to change my safety shoes into slippers, rolled up my trousers because I don't have a car yet. Go. Oh my god, so sorry, power just went out where I am. But I had to roll up my trousers and put my leg inside water from my compound. I've not even gotten to the main road, from my compound, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, when we moved into that compound newly, the compound level was even way lower than it is currently. We had to flag it to the landlord that we cannot continue to deal with this flood inside our compound. The entire road is already draining into the compound, so he had to come. We did backfilling. He filled the compound, interlocked on top a floor that he had already paved. He had to do interlock on top of it. This was now what reduced the effect of the water from the road coming into the compound. But yet we're still suffering, but it's not as bad as it was before. Before we get into the compound, we have to set blocks and we start leaping from one place to the other. It's one of the effects of living on this island. But if things are done the right way, I feel like soon Lagos State's physical planning, like I said, will soon start enforcing a law that even after you are constructing, you must show your drainage plan to leak into the general drainage. I think that is one thing that they are not doing well yet in Lagos. And I feel like the physical, because I know people that are, working on this, on pushing this idea to the physical planning. Let us see your drainage plan. What is your plan of linking the drainage of this building that you're about to do to the general drainage that is on the mirror or the canal that would now drain properly? Poor drainage system has really affected, especially on the island. So you have to consider these measures. You have to put it into consideration, basically. Yeah, I hope I answered well.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, you did, but I think the question is more of, it's not just even the road. I'm talking about the federal road. So take for instance, today I drove out and I couldn't even get to the office because of how everywhere was just a mess and I had to turn back. But my observation was the federal road, the Lekki Ekpe road was dry. However, you're looking at the likes of Agungi flooded from beginning to the end. They're looking at Ologolo flooded from beginning to the end. They're looking at Priscilla, that's a no-go area. So I know Priscilla, a bit of the road was also flooded, but inside is actually even way bad. So my assumption now is, do we need to focus on the height of the federal road that's reconstructed by the federal government when taking a building, not just the estates, not just the street or wherever it is that is surrounding you?
Okay, now I get your question. Right, the height of the federal road being higher than the roads that are linking into it. Yeah, I think because of the way that it had already been constructed, especially the federal road, there is almost nothing that can be done aside doing a drainage. Like I'd already said, that is the only thing that can solve this problem. So to prevent these things in the long run, or to prevent ourselves being affected by them, we just have to consider them when you are selecting like houses to rent. Look out for streets with good drainage system, because this lower street, Costello Road, I'm very familiar with that road. The one at Chisco, very bad. It always disturbs us because we have a project on that side. The drainage system on Costello Road, it's not linking. You have drainage system coming from the what's their name, Elegushi Palace side, but it's not even linking properly to the one on Costello Road. Because of this, just like I said, a lower level would receive the water, and that is the effect of drainage. So if there is no even drainage on this road, the water would automatically retain. So if drainage are done, good drainage, sizable drainage are done, to this, regardless of the fact that the federal road is higher than this intersecting road, you would not see the, effect if drainage are well channeled. So yeah, it's very important to we don't have control over the height of the federal road anymore. But then that's why I said that physical planning should start looking at ensuring that developers put into consideration how do you plan to link the drainage in front of your houses to the general one. For example, the Agungi road, if you come to Agungi or you come to like SPG road where I stay, you will see that everybody building houses in front, they will just do only their own drainage in that front. They will now block it in the beginning, block it at the end. They don't even care where the water is going to. And these are the things that I feel like the government should also look into. So yeah, I hope I got it now.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I also saw Brad Tayo's hand.
Yeah, Daniel, thank you.
Sorry, we can't hear you, Brad Tayo. Or is it just me?
Yeah, I can't hear him too.
Brad Tayo, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. I was really looking forward to hearing your question, because I know you are very much into real estate. Okay, Elder Chukuma, please can we have you while we...
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, sir.
When you were making your presentation, you mentioned something about, when there is water on the wall of a completed building, and there's nothing that can be done. I didn't quite get that. And because I'm having some issues in the house, and there's water on the wall, like the wall from as if it's coming from the foundation or something, or when it rains, it seeps in. I don't know how it's coming. There've been different suggestions on what to do, you know. So please, can you shed more light on that when there is water on the wall of a building? And what are the possible causes and possible remedies?
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I mentioned three scenarios when I was discussing water on the wall. I said first, if the water is coming from the top, right, you have like three options. First, is either the water is coming from the top, it's coming from the side, or it's coming from the bottom, right? That's from the earth itself. Now, from the top, that means it's coming from your roof. Probably the coping that was maybe done on, let's say you have, I don't know like the way the house was built, but if you have a parapet wall is the wall that covers your roofing. I think we all would see this type of roofing that is being done now in houses or modern developments now, where you can almost not see the roofing that is being done because the wall is covering it. That wall must be coped properly, with waterproofing, first concrete and then waterproofing, and then so felting as well. If it's not done well, right, or say you have a roof gutter, and your roof gutter, say your fubora, that's the drainage that collects water from the top of your roof gutter, is not done well, or it's not well felted, water will seep in and then go through your wall and stain your wall, right? So that one is easy to resolve because you can easily redo your felting or do a proper waterproofing, or there are chemicals and things that you can do to correct that. If it's coming from the side, like I said, it's either say maybe that part of your wall is touching the earth. That is the earth. Maybe the backfilling around the house is touching the block work directly, and it's already sipping this water from the side. That one is easy. Is either maybe you clear out the filling maybe around that, and then you screed with the right composition. You can ask experts around. They would tell you the type of screeding or the type of painting or waterproofing painting that you can do. Adhesive painting as well, adhesive screeding should also help in preventing or showing the effect of this thing. Just proper screeding of that wall, especially waterproofing screeding. So that's what we are talking about. There are some paints that we even use for our houses that should not be used externally because of water. Some people paint houses with some particular paint, and at the end of the day, the rain, when it comes in contact with rainwater, it has effect on the building. There are paints that should be used for your external painting that already has waterproofing in them. So when you use them for the external painting, you don't even have to worry about anything. So using the right paints can also be done. But then the last option, the last cause of this water on the wall could be directly from the foundation. And this is the one that I said that you would only continue to maintain that wall, but the solution, you will not particularly find a permanent solution to it, either because when they were carrying out the foundation of that project, the DPM was either not done properly. That's the damp-proof membrane, is DPM. It's the black, we always see this black type of nylon, but DPM is now like a much more thicker one that is used. Lay it before you now cast your ground floor. This DPM is what prevents water from seeping from the ground up to the building, right? If this DPM is done properly, like laid properly, and also quality DPM is used, you would not experience what you're experiencing. But if it is not done well, or the quality of the DPM that was used is not good, water would find its way and would keep messing up the wall. So what you can do is just constant maintenance on that wall, constant, you are waterproofing, constant screeding, constant painting of that same wall. So that was basically what I explained. I hope I answered.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have Ayotunde. You can unmute, sir. Ayotunde, your hand is raised. You can unmute and speak.
It's probably not there anymore. So,
Good evening, Bersan.
man,
You said?
it's probably not there again, so we
Oh, I
can
see.
continue. Yes, yeah.
Do we still have Bratayo? I don't think he's still on the call. All right, I think that's it. Since Bratayo is not back and Ayotunde doesn't seem to, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. All right, I think that's it. I really appreciate all the questions and the attention I was given. And yeah, God bless us all.
Amen.
And God
All
bless you.
right. Once again, good evening to everyone. We are happy that you are with us this evening. I can see some few names that I'm not familiar with. Dorcas Igwe, she's here. I'm not familiar with that name, but to the glory of God, you're here with us this day. We encourage you to be coming.
I see my family on the call. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, I can see Emmanuel Adeni,
Yes.
who
God
is
bless
also
you.
not familiar. We are happy you are here too.
Let it
And
be
then
familiar. That's the father to the
we
speaker.
also have okay, Adeni Daniel. That is the Daniel that is speaking with us. Okay, we thank God, and then we ask that God will meet you at the point of need. We are happy you are here, and then we encourage you to be joining us from every Tuesdays when you are less busy. Please be part of this platform. We've been gaining a lot of insight here, a lot of exposures, a lot of training that has to do with our daily activities or uh, uh, that has to do with our works, homes, and everything. You can see it yourself today. We talk about building and structure. One thing I've learned this evening from the speaker is that, according to what he said, ignorance and negligence equal to defective work. Please, we encourage all of us to avoid LABSCA. That is Lagos State Building Structural Control Agency. We can all avoid them, more especially those of you who have dreams of building or who are going to new place. Just like Dr. Oloma said, we all rush into a particular place. The experience of Daniel, I'm sure many of us will not say it here, but we have all experienced it. Where I am, yes, the room is okay, no water here, but the surrounding, the compound everywhere is flooded. So moving forward, we can avoid all these things as we move forward. And then I pray that God will continue to protect us, more especially those of you who are investing into building, because it's not fair. It's not fair that you have invested so much money into building, and then all of a sudden, after a year, 2 years, somebody comes and then mark it demolished. It's not. I think we don't pray for that for God's children. God will not allow us to see those kind of things. So you are all welcome. Then I just want to leave this announcement with you that tomorrow again is another session for prayer requests, where you can tender your prayer request, where you can talk to God again concerning every form of affairs or issues of life that you want to talk to God. Please don't dash your hope. Join us tomorrow, and then let's revive or reignite that prayer expectations. And I know that very soon the Lord will answer those prayers that looks like a delay. Please don't dash your hope. Be there tomorrow. Also on Friday is our Bible study time. I also encourage you to always be there. Then Saturday is a day of celebration in His presence. We have moved, for those of you who are joining us this evening, we have moved to a new fantastic place. When you come there, it's like our Jerusalem, where we see God manifested beyond our expectations. And that happens every Saturday morning from 8:45 to 12:30, 1 o'clock is a moment or season we tap in His presence. Also join us there, and the Lord will bless you. You are all welcome. This time I call on a media team to give us the closing song, before we go into benediction. Thank you.
I'm pressing on the upward way, new heights I'm gaining every day, still praying as I onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand, by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground.
My heart has no desire to stay where doubts arise and fears dismay. Though some may dwell where days abound, my prayer, my aim is higher ground.
Lord, lift me up and let me stand, by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to scale the utmost height and catch a gleam of glory bright, but still I'll pray till end I found. Lord, lead me on to higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand, by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground.
Father in heaven, we bless and adore you. Thank you for this wonderful moment. Thank you for your mercies in our lives, more especially in our days of ignorance. Lord, we bless you for this wonderful idea you have given us this evening. Thank you for your son whom you have used. Thank you for our friends who have joined us this evening. Thank you that we have all ended this program benefiting from every side that has to do with construction. Lord, we ask that as we move forward from now, you will give us new ideas on how to complete our dreams for buildings, our dreams for moving to a new place where we can live with our families. Lord, we bless and adore you. We ask that even as we live here this evening, let your presence continue to go with us. Continue to use your son. And then as we come again tomorrow to worship at your feet, that you will even bless us beyond our expectations. And as we are moving on this week, once again, we ask that your presence will go with us. And by the time we all gathered on Sabbath morning to worship you, Lord, it will be a moment of testimonies, and your name alone will be exalted forever and ever. These are many more blessings, Lord, for we have prayed in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.